Alright, so I know I said I was gonna do a review for After Earth, right? It was either that or Now You See Me. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna see Will Smith. I haven't seen that guy in a while. And he's starting with his son too, Jaden Smith. So I did a little homework on After Earth and I found out some pretty shocking news. It's being directed by M. Night Shyamalan. So I was like, fuck that. And I'll tell you what, I felt like I dodged a bullet. Did you know how much it got on Rotten Tomatoes? 14%. Whew! But the truth is, even though I felt like I dodged a bullet, I got hit by a less lethal bullet. So here comes Now You See Me. And this movie has a pretty interesting cast. We've got Jesse Eisenberg, who made his breakthrough in The Social Network. Good old Woody Harrelson. The very lovely Isla Fisher. And James Franco's brother, Dave Franco. He died in Warm Bodies. Oops! So all four of these guys are professional illusionists, or magicians. And one of the big crazy acts that they do, as you probably saw in the trailer, is that they're in Las Vegas and they have this show and they rob a bank all the way in Paris. And then everyone's like, holy crap, how did they do that? So the guys hired to stop these guys is the Hulk. I'm talking about Mark Ruffalo. He's the FBI agent that's hired to catch these guys. And out of nowhere, this girl from Interpol shows up and gets hired on the case as well, played by Melanie Laurent. You might recognize her from Inglourious Bastards. And she has a lovely French accent, if I may add. You know when you have a magic trick done to you and you're like, wow, that's pretty amazing, how did you do it? And then later on you do a little homework or you try to figure out how they do it, and then when you do find out how they do it, it's like, oh, so that's how they do it? Sometimes you might feel a little disappointed. Or enlightened. Oh, that's how they did it, that's pretty clever. Even though this movie is about magic, it didn't feel very magical. You know what movie felt like magic that I've seen recently? Star Trek Into Darkness. That movie definitely embodied the magic of cinema. It's like when you watch the commercials and you get really, really hyped up about it, and then when you watch the movie, it ends up being meh. On a positive note, Now You See Me is a very well cast movie. I was watching Conan O'Brien the other week, and he was saying how Jesse Eisenberg is one of his new favorite actors. And one of the main things he likes about him is that he's a very fast-talking monologue kind of guy. He kind of reminds me of Abed from Community. But generally what this movie is about is that it's a game of cat and mouse, or cops and robbers. It all started when these four different magicians were out doing their own acts. Jesse Eisenberg is basically a street magician. Isla Fisher, I guess, is like an escape artist. Woody Harrelson specializes in hypnotism. Dave Franco is kind of a kick-ass pickpocketer. But in the beginning of the movie, each of the magicians receive a mysterious card, and they kind of look like tarot cards. Jesse Eisenberg gets the Lovers, Woody Harrelson gets the Hermit, Isla Fisher gets the High Priestess, and Dave Franco gets Death. But each card, it comes from the same mysterious organization called the Eye. And on each of the cards tells them to go to one particular address. They all meet up and they activate this weird blueprint to do this crazy magic trick, and then all of a sudden it's 1 year later. And what this really reminded me of is it's kind of like a heist movie. Ocean's 11, 12, or 13, but just with magic tricks. And all these big tricks and all these heists, they, in a sense, get myth-busted. And that's why Morgan Freeman's around. He used to be an ex-magician. And then Mark Ruffalo and the rest of the cops go to him for extra advice. And even though all these crazy magic tricks are solved or revealed, not everything was answered. All this high technology stuff, the Eye. What would have made the movie just a little more interesting is if we got into the history of each of the magicians. Instead, we get them at this particular time in their careers where they're trying to get inside the organization called the Eye. You only know them as illusionists and magicians, but you don't really get to know them as people. There isn't much character development, which is something I really like, or chemistry for that matter. There is a little bit between Mark Ruffalo and Melanie Laurent, but overall it wasn't really well written. The movie really excels in all the special effects. And it's a classic story of cat and mouse. And the magicians are also dubbed with this Robin Hood-like persona. In their magical acts, even though they rob the banks, they give it out to the audience. But still, according to Mark Ruffalo, a crime is a crime. And I was really worried that something really sci-fi was going to happen. I was worried that sorcery or something from another dimension was going to pop up, or some sort of demonology, but it's all grounded in a sense of logic and realism. It's all smoke and mirrors. So to wrap things up and to close the curtain, Now You See Me gets a 2.8. You're honestly better off watching Hangover Part 3 or Fast and Furious 6. I don't even know what to think of After Earth. Maybe I'll watch After Earth on Tuesday when it's cheaper, or probably better off just saving my money and wait until it's on TV or something. Next week, The Purge. He goes over to Dominic Toretto living a life of peace, shows him the photo, and he's like,
I gotta do this, O'Connor. You never turn your back on family.